All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Yanagida Podcast show. We got a special guest today. We got Mayor Michael Victorino with us today. It's a pleasure and an honor to be doing this episode together. And welcome to the show.
Well, mahalo to you and everyone out there. Justin, it's my honor to be here. We've become very good friends over the last 4 years. I've watched you develop and grow as a young man. You are our future right now, and so what we'll be talking about is how I am working for re-election and to ensure your future, like my grandchildren and great-grandchildren, that we can make sure that you can live here and raise your families here in Maui County. And that's what this is all about. Sustainability is when people can live here and raise their families here, work here, and not struggle. And that's been a real challenge, but we have some solutions, and we'll be talking a little bit about that later in this podcast.
I love that. One of the questions that we received was, what do you feel like from your perspective, because it's a great perspective, what do you feel like one of the biggest issues for Maui County is, and what are you guys kind of doing about it?
Well, I think everyone will agree the biggest issue is obtainable housing, affordable rentals. We have a critical shortage. Well-meant, well-intended policies and ordinance since 2006 has really slowed development to almost a standstill. We were able to do in 3 years open up 1,500 units both for sale and rentals throughout Maui County. And that sounds like a lot, but when you think about it, that's just about 500 units. We have growth that exceeds that all the time. People are desperate for housing, especially rentals in the lower AMIs from 70% down. And people want to buy homes or be able to obtain a home or some kind of unit at the 80% and higher AMI. The AMI is the average medium income. That's what AMI means. And so Maui has been blessed to have a better AMI than many of the other counties. But part of the problem was, first of all, we had people who worked 2 and 3 jobs, and all their income in the household was connected and averaged out as the Maui average medium income. So that was kind of a skewed number. But more importantly, I think by not building or not having new units or not having more rentals available has really made people, especially during the pandemic, start to think about moving away and living elsewhere. Because there was no opportunities. Remember, in March, we closed this whole county down.
That's right. And
from 2% unemployment, we went to almost 40% unemployment. That was a drastic change in our economy. So stores closed, other business, all the ancillary services, all the visitor attractions, those boat rides, those whale watching tours, all that shut down because there weren't no visitors coming. So we saw the residual effect of putting all our eggs in one basket. Now that we're recovering, we're looking now how we can diversify our economy. One of the main areas, agriculture. And that we'll cover that a little bit more. But going back to housing, what the county is committed to and my administration is to put infrastructure up to your property line so that you can hook up and build the housing we need, build the apartments we need, the townhouses, whatever it might be. And you can save hundreds of thousands of dollars by us doing that initial work of putting the infrastructure in for you, road, sewer, water. Another part of the equation is finding water. We've not developed sources for a long time. I think the last time the county developed a water source was Po'okela back in the early 2000s, the Po'okela well. Since then, we have done no major drilling or major exploration for water. It's been thrown on the developer with show me no water. So with that being said, we have to make some changes in that area, and we're hoping that we can get more wells or more source development in the next couple of years to bring on more water for our people. Finally, another big area is our waste treatment. We have a waste treatment plant down here in Kahului. And as you're well aware, it's in a tsunami zone. It's abutting a bird sanctuary, a park, and small businesses. So it's in an area that really, when it was built back in the 70s, it was good because there was nothing there at that time. But things have moved into the area, and the bird sanctuary is one of the biggest concerns I have. So we are now presently looking at building a central wastewater treatment plant up near Waiko Road Junction, which will then divert and help us develop about 3,500 units within the proximity of that area, and take about 70% of what Kahului and Wailuku produces in waste and send it up there to be treated. And the end result will be something between 6 and 8 million gallons of R1 water for our farmers and other irrigation necessity areas that we need to continue to build on. So these are all plans that we've already instituted, we're working towards. This is why I'm asking for people's help to be reelected. And the other area that we all lack and we talk about and we face challenge, short-term rentals. You and I both know short-term rentals, along with people from the mainland who have bought, now moved here, can work remotely, has taken a lot of our inventory out of the rental market, the long-term rental market.
Right.
So we're making changes in that area. I disagree with moratoriums. I think that's the worst thing we can do. However, we can continue to move forward with ordinances that protect our residents, make sure that our residents have the first opportunity for not only rentals, but for purchase, obtaining housing as we build out new and we take back some of the old unlawful types of facilities or rentals that we have out there in Maui County.
Wow. That answered the question too, because I was going to ask about people have been asking about the water situation, and so different wells and different systems.
Well, we have two dynamics here in Maui County. First of all, when you're talking upcountry system and some of the other systems in West Maui, there's surface water. Surface water means ditch water or river water that comes in that is pumped into our treatment plants and we treat them. One of the challenges, if you have groundwater, which is pumped from the ground, doesn't mix well with surface water. So that's one of the challenges when we have dual systems within an area. So we can't say, okay, here, we'll just put more water in this area and it'll be okay. It has a chemical change and it makes it more difficult for people to have what we call quality water. So we try to keep the two separate. Upcountry, as you know, every year pretty much has a drought season, starting about this time, going to around September. We keep building up there. We've been trying to explore for wells. In fact, we have 3 right now that we are exploring. And if we can get those wells online within the next 2 years, some of our waiting list, which is almost 1,500, no, I think about 1,300 long now, because we've taken from 2,000 over the last few years and whittled it down. But without enough viable source of water, it's really hard for us to then continue to make those reservations that was made back in the 80s and 90s that make that come to fruition. So that's a multifaceted challenge in water and how to store it, how to utilize it, and how to take it from point A to point B. And that's one of the other big challenges with upcountry. I put an extra $5 million to work on the upper Kula line to fix what had gone wrong with the storm and to make it more resilient so the next storm doesn't tear it apart. However, there's just not enough money and time to get everything done, so we kind of focus on certain areas, but really, the upcountry system really works this way. You have a 6-inch pipe, then it goes to 2-inch, then it goes back to 6-inch, goes to 4-inch. So your water pressure is never consistent because of the different sizes of pipes, and that's why we have breakage also. So we're trying to work, we're like backwards from wherever your subdivision is, moving backwards to where your source is, and trying to develop a consistent line that, if it's 8 inches, then it's 8 inches all the way, not 6, 4, 2, 8, It just doesn't work and it causes more challenges than it solves.
Wow. So I didn't know about the pipe situation for upcountry.
People don't understand that many dynamics are what happens when you have what we call older systems like upcountry, but more importantly, people keep building in these areas, wanting water, and wanting other amenities, and sometimes they live far from where the source is. Like for example, somebody up in Kula, sometimes homes are a quarter mile, maybe half a mile from the roadway. So now we've got to run piping from the source, which is on the road, to their home. And so that's another challenge in its own respect, because sometimes the pressure is not not proper, we don't have enough pressure. And when there are challenges like fires or other emergencies, that could be another challenge. So really, living up country is wonderful, but it has its drawbacks too. But we're continually focusing on trying to do what we can to better the system.
I like that. Okay. Over the last couple of years, it seems like homelessness is kind of increased in the community. What do you feel like we can do to kind of combat the homeless situation?
Thank you for that question. Just another example of what I call a very complex question. Homeless has many varieties. You have the working homeless who just cannot afford a rental at this time. For those, we are looking and continue to build other facilities. We also have HUD, and the HUD money that's Housing and Urban Development. That money is being utilized for rental subsidies to make sure that people can get a decent rental throughout Maui County, whether it's an apartment, a home, a cottage, whatever it might be. The challenge we face, we're not building quick enough, so that's another problem. Also, during the pandemic, we definitely now know there are people coming from the mainland, being sent from the mainland to Maui to live here. And we always suspected it, but during the pandemic, we sent back hundreds of people who had no place to stay, and they said, well, we're going to stay at the Salvation Army. Oh, no, we're going to stay at Kaleakaola. Or we're going to stay at Maui Life Center. These are all homeless resource centers. Like, how do you know about this? And you know what? You don't make reservations. You have to apply. So we got wind of this. Many of them were able to turn around and send them back because at that time we had emergency powers. Now we don't. So you have the working homeless that I talked about first. Then you get the other homeless that need wraparound services. Wraparound services would be drug abuse, alcohol abuse, mental illness. I mean, you can name it. It's all wrapped around services that are so direly needed. We are short of psychologists and psychologists throughout the nation, state, and our county. So it really makes it more difficult to get enough help to take care of this, what we call wraparound services. And there's the other one, the final one, that if those accept help, we can help them. But there's a group just don't want help. I had a gentleman that had been roaming the streets for a couple of years now, and every time he gets real sick, we take him to the hospital. We ask him, can we get you to Kahali or some of these homeless resource centers? Nope, don't want. Nope, don't want. And it's really hard. By law, we cannot force him to do anything. So Justin, it's a multifaceted dynamics. I know a lot of people have ideas. Some of them really are good, and we've been working on them. But many of them really hinges on enabling our homeless. I want to make sure that when they move, not only do they have a decent place to live, but opportunities to become productive citizens. This is important, so that they have a sense of dignity, they have a sense of accomplishment, that they have self-worth. Just moving on place to place, putting them in a homeless resource center, maybe not the answer, or for some of them it's not the answer. And to close with this, actually on our last point in time survey, our homelessness actually went down about 80-something people. But we continue to work to find housing so we can continue to reduce it. But you see them, they're very brazen now. They're on the streets, they're in the backyards, they come to your businesses, they camp out right here. If you don't have a gate, you got a homeless man, a homeless person, not man, homeless person going to be camping in your backyard pretty quick. But they're human beings, and we got to respect and do what we can to help them. So we are looking for programs, we keep working at it, and we want to make sure that they are treated with dignity and respect.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. I didn't realize that there were so many different layers, like the working and then the different, wow. And then so speaking of the people just kind of being shipped over here, I wanted to talk about traffic a little bit, because I just came back from Honolulu, and I was just thinking like, wow, there's a lot of traffic. And so, is there anything that we can do about the traffic situation, or?
Justin, many of us between 3 and 5:30, 6 o'clock, and between 6 and 8:30 in the morning, we get in traffic, right? Whether it's school traffic, work traffic, whatever it might be, there is traffic But how many times when you drive the road at noon, 1 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, do you find a lot of traffic? You know, you can pretty much shoot to wherever you're going. Our roadways weren't built for the traffic we have, I'll admit that. And our visitors are more freelancing, that they like to go places on their own. So that puts more stress on our infrastructure, our roads. We have developed new roads, the Waiale extension to build the Waiale development, which will take us just about where the golf course is, Sandalwood and the Marilyn Monroe, the King Kamehameha course, the Marilyn Monroe house. Those will be, that will take them from the Honopi'ilani Highway and extend all the way to Mauilani. Now, that way you can come in from that area or from the subdivisions, and then you can hook up going to Puilani and then head straight to town. And one of the areas we are looking at is fixing up and repairing the Waiko Road from Puilani over to Veterans Highway. If you go there and you look down, you see these telephone lines running. That roadway belongs to the county, and so we need to fund it and develop and make this an alternate ulterior for travel between Kahului and Kihei. So imagine now if you can go straight, what I just talked about, from Puilani right to Veterans Highway. You don't have to go down to what I call the corner, which is Puilani, Veterans Highway, Mayor Elmer H. Carvalho Way, and Punane. That's the corner, I call it. Four roads converge on that. Four different intersections converge on one area. And that will decongest that area, and also decongest Hanson Road, where traffic comes out and gets backed up there. So these two areas could be a big benefactor once we get the Waiko Road completed. So we're hoping to put money in the FY24 for design and 25 started, and hopefully it'll be a county project. I'm counting on some of our guys who did the paving out in Kakaloa.
Okay.
Yeah, they did that when we went Piilani Highway going to Kakaloa.
Oh, that's right.
It's actually Kaikili, and then it changes into Piilani on the backside. Crazy as it may sound, our highways change from name to name, but the same road, right?
Same road, yeah. Different.
Anyhow, so when that is completed, they've completed about 8 miles of pavement. So I'm thinking that's about 3.5, 4 miles from Puilani over to Veterans Highway. Why not have our guys do it? I think they could. So we're going to look at that in the next couple of months, but put it in the FY24 budget and see how that works out. So again, we're looking how to decongest traffic, but the only way you can really stop it is people either leave earlier for work from home, leave later to work. You have different kind of work schedules, with some companies have. Some companies set it up so you come in at 10 and you leave at 6. So you're not driving through major traffic. But the vast majority start at 8 and finish at 4:30. Just the way it is. So it's changing mindsets, changing patterns, and most important, changing the people's habits and getting them to accept different time frames to travel.
And going right into what you just said about change and different. Since the last couple of years during the pandemic, what do you feel like some of the biggest lessons were in the last couple of years? Because I know that was a crazy 2 years, and I can't imagine like being in your spot and have to make decisions and
Well, first of all, Justin and the rest of the people listening in, we're not out of the pandemic. We're maybe in an endemic area. Today, again, Maui had 560 plus cases. So we're still, high numbers throughout the state. The good news, very few hospitalizations. I think only 2 in the ICU ward and none on ventilators, so that's good news. But we're still having a high rate of infection. And I've been told by the Department of Health, their hierarchy, that we have a new variant, the BA5, BA1, BA2, it just came to again, contagious, but they think not very serious. In other words, won't cause a lot of hospitalization. But there's an area where we can all help each other out. This is getting vaccinated. I'm not saying you have to, I just recommend it. Learning to eat healthier, that you know all about, and which I'm really bad about. But most importantly, knowing and keeping safe every day, good hygiene, some physical distancing, and if you're feeling sick, don't come in, don't come to work, don't go out and enjoy your family because you could be spreading. We have home hits, we already passed almost 100,000, we have another 100,000 coming in, so we have different events planned in the month of July, late July or early August that we were passing out these home kits. So if you're feeling sick, take the test. Take you 10 or 15 minutes and you'll know if you have COVID or not. But really, it's really up to us how we manage this disease. It's like the flu, like a cold. We'll learn to have treatments for it. We've got vaccination. We've got other medicines and other treatments available. Just being patient, just doing it right, I think will make a big difference in the next few months. They're talking another surge in September of this year. I hope they're wrong, but generally speaking, they've been pretty much on the kinipopo. I know it's pretty accurate. So with that being said, I ask everyone, just be careful, but don't stop living. I love crowds. I've been in crowds for the last 7 days, and I enjoy being with people, and I know people enjoy being with me. So I'm really excited about where we're headed.
Yeah, and it's just amazing. I just want to, before I go into some of our last questions, just quickly acknowledge the last couple of years and even before this, because you came to some of our things, before the pandemic, supported our grand opening and different things, expansions, and then even during the pandemic, I remember you were there like passing out I think turkeys during Thanksgiving, and then. Some of my friends at the National Guard were, saying good things, and it was just amazing. Like, oh yeah, he gave us credit and he let us work and do our thing. And I just want to acknowledge that. I can't imagine, how much pressure and decision making and all these different things. And just want to acknowledge that before, going into our last couple questions.
Mahalo, Justin, and Mayor's been proud that when decisions had to be made, we made them. We did our research, we did our homework, whether it was with the medical community, whether it's the business, nonprofits, individuals, whoever, Department of Health. We connected with everyone, and we've had a pretty good working relationship with federal, state, and local agencies, nonprofit and government agencies. So I don't take all the credit because it's not true. I was there as a facilitator to help everyone come through this as safely as possible, and I'm proud to say our numbers reflect that. However, with all that being said, I just want people to understand that, as a leader, you gotta make decisions like shutting down the entire economy. How many dreams, how many futures, how many aspirations were just killed by that? And then within two or 3 weeks, buying all the farmers' food before they threw it on, plowed it under, whether it was produce, and then going to the ranches for beef and hamburger, and making sure we had food drive after food drive. You folks participated, other groups participated and helped us, and I want to thank them. Until the food bank, people like First Assembly of God and other churches, other organizations took the ball and ran with it. We carried the first 2 or 3 months, and I'm proud to say we probably gave out 15,000 plus boxes of food. And I continue to help those who do it. The Bini Ani has had a food program, and we are continuing to helping them. But more importantly, we're helping people. And I'm also proud to say that when rent was needed early in the pandemic, when people were losing their jobs in March and April, we went to the council, asked for $9 million of our emergency fund. They granted it to us, and we turned around and had assistance not only for our farmers, but for renters, for people with utility bills and other challenges, to at least hold them over. That we had hoped that the pandemic would be over in 3 or 4 months. It's now 28 months into this pandemic. We're still going, but we're going strong. And since we reopened in October of 2020, I'm proud to say we never had to shut down, Justin. We had to pull back, we had to get stricter, but when things got better, we opened up. And we always opened up systematically and methodically, because then I could see, like some counties opened everything up one time, then they had outbreaks here and there, they didn't know what to do. This way, when you did it by segments or different sectors of our community, If something happens, you know that's the sector that's having the problem. You can address it. So I tried my best to make sure whatever I did was and has always been my priority. The people of Maui County, keeping them safe and healthy. And and I won't go away from that. I'll never, as your leader, always keep that as my number one priority. That's why I'm hoping people will re-elect me, so now we can take care of all the other issues. We just dedicated our Department of Ag today. What an exciting day. We got a director and deputy director named today, and Kali RC is our new director of the Department of Ag, and Weston Yap, he was from the Department of Ag in Honolulu, is now a new deputy. So we bring a lot of experience, knowledge, and heart to this department. So I'm excited, how this will take us to another level. It's not for regulatory reasons we made this department. We made this department for the purpose of advocating for our farmers, to mentor our farmers, to get young farmers, because most of our farmers, our average age is about 65. So we don't have more, we're getting tired. Our farmers
65.
work very hard. Whether it's the Sakugawas or the Otanis or the Kogas or other farmers out there, they have worked many, many years producing great food for our people, our restaurants, even our hotels. Now's the time to get younger ones. And we gotta make sure that they get trained not only in how to farm and what to farm, but regenerative farming to make sure the crops, that our soil doesn't get degraded, and that we grow different crops that don't compete against each other. That if you're growing oranges and I'm growing strawberries and he's growing apples, none of that goes compete against each other. In fact, that will help all of us do better, because now these are products all of us use. And this is the way we would like to promote it. Also, grants from USDA, FDA, and other agencies out there, state and federal. Many farmers don't have the opportunity to know the wherewithal to do this. But we're gonna hire some grant writers to help them, to monitor, to mentor them so that they can do it. And finally, the most important of all of this, like I said earlier, young farmers. Make sure that they can see there's a future, Justin, a future. Not just surviving from day to day, hoping to make some money, but to thrive and make it a business you can be proud of. Your generation can look down and say, okay, we can take on the world now, because you got the food, and the food is right here in Maui County. You don't have to ship everything in. I know there will never be 100%, but if we got to 40 or 50%, Justin, that would be a tremendous improvement on what we have. But eating fresh Maui-grown produce, Maui-grown products like meat and hamburger and other things, We can also, with our pigs, have a good pig program. And then we have a deer problem that we are now trying to address in two manners. Mitigating the herds and producing another type of product for our market, a value-added product. What is jerky, what is dried venison, whatever it might be, that this is something all of us can enjoy. We got about 70,000 of them roaming around. And according to the Department of Ag and DLNR, if we were to capture and mitigate 20,000 a year, we would just be keeping the herd just about the same size.
Wow.
So, telling me that's self-sustaining without being self-sustaining.
Yeah. 20,000, huh?
20,000. They got well over 70,000 here in Maui Island.
Wow.
And Molokai and Lanai also are really, and with Molokai right now, with this drought, especially West End, deer are just dropping dead on the side of the road. So it's sad.
Yeah.
We gotta be able to utilize it and produce food. So part of what I call diversification of the economy.
Yeah, that definitely is diversifying.
Yeah.
What we got.
Yeah.
Wow. So we're just gonna wrap up with a couple questions.
Sure.
From the audience.
I'm trying to make short answers. How's that sound?
I like that. So one question we got was, what is your favorite childhood memory?
Well, I've been a blessed man. I have so many, but I think I'll go back to when I was a little guy with my family and Christmas. For us, we were a very poor family. So every Christmas, we had store-bought apples, store-bought oranges, candy, things candy canes that the rest of the year, outside of Halloween, the rest of the year you never saw that in the household. And so we looked so forward to going to sleep around 9 o'clock, and being woken up by Santa Claus, which I think was my father, but you know, I don't want to burst anybody's dream. And running out and seeing the presents and all the specialties like the oranges, the apples, the kissers, the all the different types of candy, the almond roca and all that was like, this was heaven. For at least a week or two, we had all the goodies that anyone could ask for.
Wow.
That I think is one of my best childhood memories. The other one was always going fishing when we lived in Kauai. We lived near the ocean and we go fishing all the time. But as a young man, I was blessed to have many, many great childhood memories. So that's just a few of them.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that. One of the questions we got that I think this is also going to be helpful for them is, if you could go back to your 18-year-old self, what would one piece of advice be?
If I had to go back to being 18, which I really don't want to, because I was young, impetuous, and foolish. Now I'm just old and impetuous, not even foolish, so I can take that out. But really, the only advice I'd give to anyone is live life to the best of your ability. Look at your dreams, look at your goals, and keep working towards it. I always, at that age already, had a desire to be a part of our community, to make sure that community was better than I got it. I have this opportunity as mayor today, as a council member for 10 years, and as a citizen who has worked, my wife and I and our family, in many nonprofits, in many different areas of our community to make it better, not only for us, but for generations to come.
Wow. You know, the time is flying, and you know, we could ask like another 5-10 questions, and you know, I just want to thank you again so much for coming on. Before we wrap up with our final question, really thank you so much for coming here today, being with us, sharing your insights, solutions, and what we're going to do. The final question, when you hear the word fighting sickness with fitness, what pops into your mind?
Healthy food, a healthy lifestyle, a healthy mind equals great health. I think those three aspects are something that many of us may have 2 out of 3, some may only have 1 out of 3. But when you have a good mental state, you take whatever it comes and you just deal with it, you know. Don't get yourself down, don't get yourself high too often. Healthy food, yes, our body needs healthy food. And I'm an example of not using the real right healthy food that we should. Yes, I eat more vegetables. Yes, I try to be more cognizant of what I eat, when I eat, and how I eat. And maybe good times tables is another issue, but not as much as I should be. And finally, to get a good healthy body by eating and a good healthy state by exercising, making sure you use the body. Because I have used mine maybe too often, too hard. Now I have my knee problem and others. Back, you know, some of it was injuries that were unavoidable, or car accidents where a drunk driver ran into me and almost killed me in 1989. I've had cancer. I've had right here, all the way into my lymph nodes. Luckily, none of it was malignant, it was benign. I've been blessed. You know, the Lord has challenged me, and I've taken all the challenges. And finally, I'll say to you, so long as you have the Lord in your life, in whatever form of belief you have, you'll always have an opportunity to realize what's right and wrong. Not to say you won't make mistakes, not to say you won't do something that's not correct. However, I think when you have the Lord in your life, you tend to be more logical and more methodical in how you approach everything. So that's my advice to people. If I was 18, I would say that. I'm much older than that now, and I say the same thing. I've enjoyed life. I've been a blessed man to have a good wife, nearly 47 years, a family that's really in total a real loving family. Oh, we have our differences, we have our arguments, no question about that. We're not like the Nelsons or Father Knows Best, the perfect families. Or we're not like the Simpsons running around or married with children that are, you know, knuckleheads and running around doing crazy things. We are that middle, regular, everyday, blue-collar American family. And I'm so thankful to this community for allowing me to be their mayor. It's been a greatest honor that any man could have achieved. And I hope I get 4 more years to finish at least the track and lay the path for your generation and generations to come to continue living here in Maui, raising their family, and enjoying what we enjoyed. Mahalo for this opportunity. I'm truly honored you asked me, Justin, to come today. To all the people out there, please be safe. Let's have a great summer, and I wish everyone continued success and good fortune. Mahalo, aloha, and ahoy ho.
Wow, right on. Thank you so much. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.